You need to leave our house right now!
In the days when the python still spoke to men and the spirits walked freely between worlds, there lived a maiden whose beauty could silence the marketplace. Her name was Chisom, and she was the kind of woman sculptors wished they could carve from wood. But beauty, as the elders say, can be both blessing and curse. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the compound as another suitor stood before Chisom's father, Okonkwo. He was the 18th man in 2 harvests, a trader with 3 barns of yam and a good reputation. Chisom stood at the doorway of her mother's hut, her wrapper tied elegantly around her full figure, coral beads clicking softly at her neck. "Tell him I cannot marry a man whose teeth are crooked like broken fence posts," she announced, loud enough for the suitor to hear. "Tell him to find a woman who is blind." The man's face crumpled. Okonkwo's jaw tightened. The suitor left without another word, and Chisom returned to grinding her pepper as if she had merely commented on the weather. That night, as crickets sang and palm oil lamps flickered in the darkness, Okonkwo and his wife Adaeze summoned their daughter. They sat on low stools in the obi, the tension as thick as harmattan dust. "Chisom," her father began, his voice heavy with the weight of many disappointments. "You are killing us with shame. What is this madness that has possessed you?" "I am waiting for my equal," Chisom replied, examining her fingernails. "I am waiting for a man whose handsomeness matches my beauty. Is that too much to ask?" Adaeze's hands trembled. "My daughter, beauty fades like morning dew. Character remains. These men you reject are good men with faces like toads and bodies like broken pots," Chisom interrupted. "Mama, would you have me look at such a face every morning?" Her parents exchanged helpless glances. What could they say to a daughter who saw only with her eyes and not with her heart? In another realm, where the boundary between visible and invisible grew thin, an ugly spirit named Ekwensunta stirred. He had no head, no legs, just a formless, grotesque thing that even other spirits avoided. He had watched Chisom through the veil of worlds, had seen her pride, and an idea had formed in the darkness where his mind should be. He crawled to the dwelling of the beauty gods, those ancient beings who kept the essence of handsomeness in calabashes of light. "Lend me your beauty," he pleaded. "Just for a short time. I wish to walk among mortals." The beauty gods, amused and perhaps curious about what chaos might unfold, agreed. They poured their essence over him, molding and shaping until a man stood before them, a man so handsome that even the gods themselves paused to admire their work. His skin gleamed like polished bronze, his eyes were deep as forest pools, his form was perfection carved from dreams. Ekwensunta smiled with his borrowed mouth and descended to the mortal world. He walked the red earth path that led to Okonkwo's compound, carrying a calabash of fresh palm wine. Everywhere he passed, life stopped. Women forgot the pots balanced on their heads. Men ceased their arguments. Children pointed and whispered. Even the birds seemed to pause in their flight. Chisom was walking toward the stream, clay pot on her head, when she saw him approaching. Her heart, that proud heart that had rejected so many, lurched in her chest. She nearly dropped her pot. "This one," she whispered to herself, her eyes following every graceful step he took. "This is the one I have been waiting for." She ran back inside, calling to her mother, "Mama, Mama, the man I will marry is coming to our gate." The stranger entered the compound with the confidence of a king. Okonkwo, wary but hopeful, welcomed him with kola nut and palm wine. "I have come for your daughter," the stranger said, his voice smooth as honey. "I have traveled far, and when I heard of her beauty, I knew I must see her for myself." Chisom beamed from the doorway. Finally, a man worthy of her beauty. But Okonkwo, remembering his wife's eldest sister, sent word, "Come quickly, Chisom has finally chosen a suitor." The priestess, Uzoamaka, lived at the edge of the village, where the forest whispered its secrets. When the messenger arrived, she was casting divination. She looked up, her cowrie shells still scattered before her, and her face darkened.
"Tell my brother I will not come," she said, her voice urgent. "Tell him that man is not of this world. He is a spirit, and if Chisom follows him, she will never return. Her bones will never rest in our ancestral ground." The messenger ran back, breathless. Okonkwo's blood turned cold. He hurried to tell his wife, and together they approached the handsome stranger with trembling voices. "Our daughter is not yet ready," Okonkwo said carefully. "Return in 4 market days. We will have her prepared for you then." But Chisom had been listening. She burst from the hut, her eyes wild with desperation and desire. "No! I am going with him now!" She ran into her mother's hut, gathering her wrappers, her beads, her combs. "I have waited too long for this moment." "Chisom, please." A daisy grabbed her daughter's arm, but Chisom shook her off. "My daughter, the priestess says," Okonkwo began. "I don't care what anyone says." Chisom clutched her bundle to her chest. "This is my choice." The handsome stranger said nothing. He simply turned and walked away. And Chisom, her heart deaf to wisdom, followed. They walked and walked. They crossed 7 rivers that ran with water that reflected no sky. They climbed 7 mountains that cast no shadows. The world grew strange around them, colors bleeding into sounds, time moving like thick palm oil. Finally, they reached a clearing. The handsome man stopped. "Wait here," he said. "I must relieve myself behind those trees." Chisom nodded, still smiling, still imagining the life of beauty she would have with this perfect man. But what emerged from those trees made her blood freeze in her veins. It had no head, it had no legs. It was a writhing, grotesque thing that dragged itself toward her, leaving a trail of darkness on the ground. "No," Chisom whispered, backing away. "No, where is the man? Where is—" "I am he," the thing said, and she recognized the voice. "I borrowed beauty, just as you borrowed pride. Did you think the gods would let your arrogance go unanswered?" "Please!" Chisom fell to her knees, her beautiful face twisted with terror. "Please, I was wrong. I see that now. Take me back. I will marry anyone my father chooses. I will be humble. I will—" "Those men you rejected," the spirit continued, "they had hearts, they had honor. They would have protected you, cherished you, built you a home. But you saw only surfaces, you judged only skin. And so, Chisom, who was too beautiful for any mortal man, you shall stay here where no one will judge you at all." Her screams echoed through that other world, but no one in the mortal realm heard them. Days later, Okonkwo and a daisy performed the funeral rites for a daughter who would never return. The priestess Uzuamka spoke at the ceremony, her voice carrying across the gathered villagers. "Let Chisom's story be a warning. True beauty lives in the heart. Pride is a trap that even the spirits delight in springing. And when the gods offer you a mirror, make sure you can bear what looks back." The people murmured their agreement, and from that day forward, when maidens grew too proud of their looks or young men too vain about their strength, the elders would gather them close and whisper, Let me tell you about Chisom, the beauty who saw too much with her eyes and too little with her heart. For true beauty is not what enters the eyes, but what flows from the spirit, and the most handsome face means nothing if the heart behind it is ugly.